Hello and welcome to my first ever Naruto CCG deck building tutorial, name pending. I've gotten a lot of requests for videos on how I like to deck build, some of the tips and sort of go-to strategies that I use when I am creating a deck. So I figured I'd kind of just build a deck that I don't have, and I figured I'd start with a very meta pick. Mostly because I don't want to get into something super weird that usually takes me, a couple weeks to kind of parse through and figure out how it works. I chose no hand water for this first one, and there might really only be two because two big decks that I don't have are no hand water and pain. So I might be doing those over the next couple weeks. But for this first one, I chose no hand water because I think it's pretty straightforward and does have sort of a go-to build to it, so it's not going to be that hard to follow along with. As a disclaimer, I am not a video editor of any kind, and I'll be hopefully editing in some app footage from my phone because that's a pretty crucial part in building a deck. So hopefully that goes well. I don't really have a format for this or how I plan to really go about it. It's going to be more casual, kind of like my deck concept videos and tier lists. But I guess I'll just jump right into it and see what happens, really. So No Hand Water, just so you understand the concept, is a deck that uses an archetype built into the actual cards of the game, so it's not really made up. The game facilitates it, where there are a set of cards that have bonus effects or effects at all based on how many cards are in your hand, typically with 0 being the most optimal outcome, as the name might imply. The game is the archetype is very good because it allows you to use your chakra area like your hand, which essentially doubles the amount of cards that you have to pick from, which is very, very strong. And I think the best way to get into understanding this is to pick out the main jutsu of the deck, which is Chidori. Second disclaimer, I don't have all the card numbers memorized, so if there are a lot of them like Chidori, I know the first one is what I'm looking for, but if I'm looking up with Sasuke, it might take a bit to find it. I don't know where it is in here, and I don't know what number it is. But Chidori, this water one right here, 764, is the main jutsu of the entire deck. And I'll just give a little read over it right here. Target is one ninja battling against the user. You paid one water and one anything chakra. Effect is injure the target. If the user's Sasuke, target's power is 0/0. The effect is fine. It's not the best. But while you have no cards in your hand, it can be played from your chakra area, which is very, very good because not only does that allow you to keep it somewhere else that's not in your hand, so you can free up your hand for using other stuff, but because jutsus go to the chakra area when they are played and when they resolve, it will stay there. So you essentially get mastery on all no-hand jutsus for free. This also means that you can play this from your hand if you just haven't dumped it yet, and then keep it in your chakra area to use again that chain. So incredibly, incredibly powerful, simply due to the fact that it stays in your chakra and is usable there. But second reason it's very strong is because of another first ninja we'll get into here, which is a Sasuke. It's not the promo. Here we go. The Eyes of the Serpent Sasuke. This card is limited to 1, so I am just going to put it right here and put it down to 1. And when your opponent's ninjas receive damage or are injured, they are moved to the owner's chakra area instead, which means that this Chidori Jutsu, which is already very good simply because it can be used from the chakra area, is a kill while Sasuke is on the field. And not even while Sasuke is the user, because Sasuke being the user only makes it so that their power becomes 0/0, which is pretty irrelevant. So any ninja using this jutsu while Sasuke is on the field makes it a kill jutsu for 2 chakra, which is really good. So this is the main combo in the deck and kind of the end game, what you're looking for here. So how I'll typically start off a deck is if I don't have a main strategy in mind, like a two card kind of pair that goes together, or some sort of, like for example, my Advisor's Mill deck. I knew I needed the Advisor cards, I knew I needed the Naruto, and that was pretty much it. So after that, I will figure out what is the best way to get this to happen. Now, this combo right here isn't the main point of the deck, so I don't really have to focus on, okay, how do I get out Sasuke as fast as possible? How do I make sure that this Chidori is available as soon as possible? But a main component of No Hand Water is having the jutsus you want in the chakra area. So I will look up a way that I can get these into the chakra area. And disclaimer number 3, I pretty much know how this deck should be built, even though I've never actually built one myself. So if it gets into a weirder concept, I will have to do a lot more research on the app. But just for these first few cards to make sure that we're starting off in a good place, I'm just going to put down stuff that I know already. So the best way to get these Chidori into the chakra area is to use Utakata, which is this one right here. Turn 0, you can move one card from your deck to your chakra area as long as it doesn't have ambush. Surprise, jutsus don't have ambush. So I do run 3 of these. A lot of decks will run 2 because it's not, the most important card in the deck, but I do think it is really important. And honestly, just adding one more on turn 0, I think it's worth it. So generally in deck building, I like to run 11 turn 0 ninjas. That somewhat guarantees statistically that you will draw into one with your 2 mulligans, allowing you to go from 6 to 5 while you're attempting to start the game. A lot of people will run 10 because that is also within the statistical bounds, but I don't like to mulligan, so I will run 11. So just for me specifically, I'm looking for turn 0s to be 11. And a go-to water turn 0 card that you pretty much have to run is Jirobo State 1. It is a turn 4 water ninja, vanilla text, but being a 4-0 on turn 0 is crazy good, and its reinforcement is also crazy good. So I'm just going to throw 3 Jirobos on here, knowing that if I come back later and I don't want them, I can just get rid of them. And while I'm at it, since we're throwing in 3 Jirobos, his main jutsu is Earth Dome Prison, which you also pretty much want to use if you're running a water deck. So I'm just going to throw those in here, and again, I'll come back later and find out the values. And I guess while I'm at it, I'll throw in Jirobo State 2, because why not? He's very good. And I'll throw that in the reinforcement section. Okay, so now I'm going to want to round out my turn 0s, because we kind of have the strategy understood. So I'm just going to make sure that we have our turn 0s before going into anything else, because I don't want to run out of space and have to cut stuff later. So we have 6 so far. So I'll usually do 3 3s and a 2, or maybe a 3 and then a bunch of 2s and a 1. But 3 3s and a 2 sounds good for right now. The other go-to wind or water turn 0 is Hotaru, because she's probably the best turn 0 in the entire game. So I'll throw 3 of her in there. And then the concept of no hand water lends itself very good to have chakra buildup. If you can move a card from your deck to your chakra area and it's a no hand card like Chidori, you essentially have drawn that card. So I think a very good way to facilitate that is with Kushina, also turn 0. And how I would come to Kushina at this stage is I like to go into the app and look at the rogue lists. So let's do that right now. So here is the Naruto CCG app. It's very useful because you can look at the rogue lists, you can search for cards, you can even post decks if you want, though a lot of the decks are either casual or total nonsense, probably just people posting their collections or something. But we're going into the rogue list here, and we're just going to use the Untap list because the Great Ninja Tournament Discord is not actually on here. So the very first set are all the banned cards, which there are kind of a lot of, and a lot of them I've gone over. But here we have the limited and semi-limited list. So limited being that you can only have one of them in your deck, and semi-limited being that you can have up to two. So I like to go in here when I'm looking for a new deck just to see kind of what options are available, because although being limited or semi-limited does not guarantee that you are that the card is better than a lot of the other options, it is an indicator that it's probably likely that they are. So what are some things that we could use in a no-hand water deck? Obviously, the first cards to come to mind would be water cards, and we already have our one Sasuke Uchiha right there. But secondly, we have Yoroi, we have Amy, Ghost Panic, Anko's Memory, Crying in Vain, not Fond Memories, Thread of the Tail Beast, Suigetsu's Joy. There's kind of a lot of options. Water has a lot of banned cards. But the first I'll look at is Yoroi here. It is limited because it allows you to drain your opponent's chakra very easily. And turn 2 is a very good indicator of something that I'm looking for, because turn 2 is kind of a weird spot for me. A lot of my decks don't have solid turn 2 space, or it doesn't have many to go into. The curve kind of dips down in the turn 2s, and you can actually see that a lot of people use it in no hand water, so that's pretty interesting. So Yoroi is definitely something to be looking for. Ghost Panic, just by knowing what it does already, allows you to bring something back from your discard pile. Not really important here, but if we have space, it's a potential option, though I wouldn't be too concerned, because I just know from personal experience water has a lot of mission that needs to be taken up, so there's probably not a lot that we're going to be able to use here. Amy is a potential option, though we'll have to see how many females that we have in the deck to be able to use that with. Anko's Memory is another one we will definitely be looking at, because it synergizes with chakra very easily. If you have cards in your chakra area, which you will because it's no hand water, lets you bring them back to your hand, which isn't immediately the best, because obviously a lot of the cards in your chakra area need to be in your chakra area, not in your hand. But you can just have cards that are in your chakra that are not part of the actual no hand aspect. So that's definitely possible. Another one that I know is very good is Suigetsu's Joy. In no hand water, it's very, very broken, because it essentially forces your opponent to dump their hand into their chakra, and for you to dump your hand into chakra. And you want to dump your hand into the chakra. Your opponent does not want to dump their hand in the chakra. Then each of you gets to draw 2. So essentially, for no cost to you, you get to draw 2 cards and dump your opponent's entire hand into their chakra area, including any jutsus they might have been waiting to use on you, any missions that could bring them back into the game. It's just an incredibly strong jutsu mission. And then Thread of the Tailed Beast is also very good. Moves cards from your discard pile to your chakra area, which, as you might have guessed, is something that we're definitely looking for. So we've got those, and then we've got Chidori Stream, also very good. There's a Sasuke that can specifically search this out, so we will definitely take a look at that as well. I guess we also have Water Style Water Dragon Jutsu. We're not going to have a lot of Jonins, I don't think, but there is potential for having Jonins. We have like Orochimaru. Actually, he's not a Jonin because it's not Jonin Plus. It's just Jonin, and he's going to be Sanin. So not even Orochimaru, but maybe Kabuto's. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. And then just continuing to look through, we've got Invasion of Akatsuki, which is also possible. It lets you search out a rogue ninja, move it to your chakra. That's pretty good. Our Sasuke that we're using is rogue ninja. Our Utakatas are rogue ninja. So we'll have to see how many rogue ninjas we have in there. But as I said, our missions are probably going to be pretty limited. Oops. So what we're looking for here is the Kushina, and this is just something that I know would be good in general. She allows you to move up to 2 cards from your deck to your chakra area, which, as I just said, if you grab any no-hand cards that can be used in the chakra area, that's essentially a draw for you. So let's say turn 0, you put down Kushina, you get 2 Chidoris into your chakra area. Well, congratulations. You didn't just get chakra, you also got cards essentially usable in your hand to your chakra space. So that's really good, and that is kind of something that I would look for in our new deck space. So just keep in mind that this resource is very potentially good for new deck options, just to kind of look at what is powerful and what you might want to splash in for not a lot of space. So now that we've got the Kushinas in there, we've kind of rounded out our turn zeros, and I think those are pretty solid for now. So something I would also look into with building a new deck is I would watch YouTube videos of people who have played these decks before. No Hand Water specifically, there's like 4 or 5 you can easily find on YouTube. I'm sure there's more than that, just without the titles. I really like Drainerson. I know he was part of the community, and we have some people here who knew him, so he is a very good resource. I really like his method of deck building, where it's not super serious. Has to be the most meta thing in the world. It's just kind of a for fun, casual idea that he makes as good as can be. So this might reflect his video, because I did watch that recently just to kind of remind myself of what goes on here. But generally, just looking at the community is a very good way to know what options you have, and then kind of building off in your own style from there. So in watching these videos, you can get the idea that one very, very good card for No Hand Water is Suigetsu, and it's going to be this one right here. Because his effect is, if you have no cards in your hand when you start your turn, you get to draw a card. And then obviously after the start of your turn, you get to draw your card. So it's basically a free draw every turn as long as you're handless. So I'm going to throw 3 in here because draw power is insanely good a lot of the time. Something you will also see as being, I might as well while I'm here, Suigetsu's Joy. We already talked about it. Very good, limited to 1. Let's just throw it in because we know we're going to use it at 1. Something else that we know is very good is Makeout Tactics. This is just knowledge that I would have had by playing the game at all, but you'd also see in the videos. Very good mission to have, because your chakra area essentially becomes your hand, so you don't have to worry about the real only downside to this card being that you need a lot of chakra, and early on you might need to dump a crazy amount from your hand into your chakra to draw something like Sasuke, who needs 6 chakra in the chakra area to get him. But because of that, drawback being pretty much reduced to nothing, having 3 Makeout Tactics is very good. So now being at sort of a stage where generally these are the very good cards to have in your No Hand Water deck, the things that pretty much every deck is going to have the same, we can start to kind of look into more app ideas. So the second big function of the app is that you have this card search. It allows you to search by card name, by characteristics, which are specific to Naruto, and by card effects. There are also a lot of modifiers you can do, like by set or by turn, entrance cost, by the type, by the symbol, even by rarity if you want. But a big thing with this is this effect search that I like. So you do have to be very specific, because it's searching for these exact words in this exact order. So I find that less is often more. Like for example, if you have No Hand Water in mind, you can type in No Hand and then search for ninjas, missions, and jutsus, and this is all you get. Only ninjas with no hand cost can be sent out to battle, because it's searching for that exactly. And that's not very helpful. So you have to be a little bit creative here. So an effect would be like Suigetsu has no cards in your hand, so you can type in your hand and then search by just ninjas right now. And you'll see you get a lot of nonsense again, because you have like Naruto, who is searching to move something in your hand. Six Tails gets plus X for every card in your hand, etc. So we need to be even more specific than that. So we can go, let's try or less in your hand, because that should cover our bases. Oh, no, nothing there. So what do we actually need to search? So let's try less cards. Jesus. Cards in your hand. all the selectables. Okay, yeah, so this is a good filter because we're selecting every text that has less cards in your hand, which is going to cover for like 3 or less cards in your hand, 2 or less cards in your hand, 1 or less cards in your hand, etc. So the top here are all pretty irrelevant to what we're looking for. Distal Phalanx Shrapnel is banned, so that is not really a viable option. But then we've got Controlling the Curse. When it's put in play, you draw, and during your mission, if you have 2 or less in your hand, you can move 1 from your discard to chakra. This is pretty okay. We can keep in mind, I'm not going to put it in immediately just because I know that we're limited on space and missions, but it is something to keep an eye on, just for the same reasons that Kushina is good. But then down here at the bottom, we've got pretty much our no-hand archetype. The Tayuya at the very bottom is banned because it's too good. And we can't use this Jirobo because we do have our 3 Jirobos that we want on turn 0. But we've got Karin here, who lets both players play with their deck top card revealed. And then if you have 2 or less, you can move a card. No, you can use it as if it was in your hand, which is pretty good. But it has been ruled that you can't do that with deployments of ninjas. So really it's just for missions and jutsus, which isn't really the best thing we're looking for. And then we've got Kidomaru here. If you have 2 or less in your hand, you can make an entrance cost 1 or less standby, which is pretty good. We've got Kimimaro, which I think we are going to include because he is a negation for when you don't have your negates. So we'll just keep in mind him to put in there. And then we've got Sakon, who places growth coins on water ninjas with no growth coins. Not the best again, but he does make it so that your chakra area can't be affected by effects, which might be something you could put into a side deck to prevent Clear Skies. I think that's it. And there's a Shino that just shuffles your opponent's chakra back into their deck and moves the same amount into their chakra, so that could be helpful. But not a whole lot specifically under that. So we do have to search for something else. So let's try 0 cards. Let's just try 0 cards and see if we can get the ones that actually proc off of 0. So 8-headed Serpent, move 10 cards from the top of your deck to your discard. No, that doesn't help. So let's try no cards. Yeah, so we see Suigetsu here, so we know that this is going to be helpful. The super rare Sasuke State 2 is banned. Kabuto I don't think is very useful. You can play a mission from either player's chakra. Not the best. I mean, you don't really need to do that unless you have like a limited mission in there, especially not on turn 6. It is a Jonin, so maybe, but probably not. This Kimimaro reduces the cost of a water jutsu by a water. That is pretty good. Obviously, this deck is good at spamming jutsus because they pretty much all have auto mastery, so this is definitely a possible option. It does also have ambush, and it's very strong. It can go into Kimimaro State 2. So maybe we'll keep our eye on that one too. We have our Suigetsu that we're already using. Spread Talons. Start of your opponent's turn. If you have no cards, you can discard one of your opponent's chakra and then move 1 from your discard to your chakra. So same deal, pretty good. But once again, I don't know if we have space for that many missions. So we'll just keep it in mind. And then this is what I was looking for. Striking Shadow Snake is another no-hand water jutsu. You get to negate, essentially, by changing the effect text of the jutsu. And not only that, it injures the user of that jutsu. So with your Sasuke on the field, this is just another kill jutsu while also negating theirs. So very, very strong. We're going to put 3 of those in our deck. We've got a few Jugos here. This first one lets you discard non-ninja cards. Don't really need that going on because we've got another option. A lot of this is stuff that I just know personally, so you'll kind of have to filter through on your own when you're creating a new deck. But I just know there's a better option than that Jugo for non-ninjas. And then Estate 1, when they put a card in play, if you have no in your hand, move 1 from your discard chakra. We have a bunch of effects like that to choose from in there, so possibly, but it does have a hand cost on turn 3, which kind of sucks. Another Karine for no hand. You can discard a chakra and then move a ninja jutsu from your chakra to your hand. So pretty good, kind of like an Anko's memory. But once again, from personal experience, we probably have other Karines in mind. Mizuki, transformed. I actually don't know this one. You can discard 2 of your chakras of the water. In that case, place a growth coin on him. At the end of your turn, if you have no cards in your chakra area, discard this ninja. Okay, exactly the opposite of what we're looking for. No. So yeah, those are pretty much our options there. So I think we have a pretty good idea of what we're looking for, and if we need something specific, like maybe more jutsus, we can come back to the app, but I think right now we're set. So let's just go back to Untap. Okay, so we just figured out we're going to use Striking Shadow Snake, and you do want to use this little expand button that's right here, because you might just see these and think, oh, the card I'm looking for isn't here. Well, it might be. They actually have a bunch in there. So it's Striking Shadow Snake. Let's just throw 3 of those in. So we're at 9 jutsus so far, 3 threes. I do generally like to stick to 30 ninjas, 10 jutsus, 10 missions. Although I am happy to cut into the ninjas specifically if I have jutsus or missions that I really, really need. So just keeping that in mind, my priority is basically jutsus and then missions and then ninjas, because I feel like jutsus and missions kind of win you the game, which is kind of a funny thought, but you're always going to have ninjas to choose from, probably, as long as you don't cut into it too much. So having these effects, which kind of change the outcome of the game, are what do very well for you, I think. So we've got our 9 jutsus, and we might as well just to even that out to 10 and see how we like it from there. Put in the Chidori stream that we saw, limited to 1, making us have 10 jutsus. And then with Chidori stream, I would go back into the app and maybe at the very end, like if I needed something, search, Sasuke in effects. And I would find a jutsu, or maybe Chidori in effects or something, and find Sasuke here, the promo, or maybe you just know about it. On turn 4, it can search for a Chidori card, move it to your hand. It is specifying any card that has Chidori in its name, so you can select Chidori stream. You wouldn't really need the other Chidoris because you can move them with Uzakata, but let's just throw him in here just to see how we like it. Has to be 2 at most because we already have our 1 Sasuke here. And this Sasuke doesn't have growth, so we're kind of stuck if we have this Sasuke on the field. So you know what? Let's just put in Danzo that we've seen in my other decks. It does have a hand cost, but we do have our Makeout Tactics and other Sasukes, so we have a little bit of fire. So let's just throw in the Danzo just to see how it goes for right now. We might end up kicking him out. And we might kick out this Sasuke anyway. So another card that we saw in No Hand Water was Tayuya, or maybe we saw it, or maybe I know it already. But Tayuya State 2 is very good. It makes your opponent's activated ninja effects cost 1 more. So anything that might have been free now costs chakra, which is kind of devastating for other cards. So I'm going to throw the 2 Tayuyas in here, which means we do need a Tayuya State 1. So State 1, the go-to is this one here. When a mission is played, you can discard the top of your deck. In that case, discard one of your opponent's chakra. It's not really no-hand specific, but it is very good just to kind of make your opponent think about what they need to do and maybe just limit them from playing the game in general. I will keep it at 3 just for now, but I'll generally come back later and kind of figure out the numbers that I'm looking for here. I doubt Tayuya is going to stay at 3, but because it's not a key component of the deck, we don't need to see it every game. But I'll keep it at 3 for now, just to even out our numbers. And while we're on turn 2s, I might as well go to Yoroi, who is limited to 1. So we're just going to throw it in here with the 1. So that's the most we can do. And we might as well go to turn ones. So in general, turn 1 for water is pretty much set in stone. This would be something you just have to figure out on your own, whether in deck profiles or just looking at turn 1 water ninjas, because neither of these are really no-hand water dependent, and you're not going to really find them by searching for any of the keywords in no-hand water. But we have Kitamaru, state 1, who is just a staple, because Kitamaru state 2 is very, very good. Some might say it's unfair. Whoops, oh, don't know what I just did there. Starts in play. So Kitamaru state 2 is not a no-hand water card, but it's just incredibly good in general. It can win games by itself by forcing your opponent to either battle or not battle, whatever is better for you. You get to choose. So to make that happen, I'm going to put in Kitamaru's on here. And then the other turn 1 water is Karin. We saw multiple of them in our no-hand water specific section, but Absorption Karin is probably the best turn 1 Karin in the game, or the best Karin in general, and turn 1 water in general. Because it can heal your ninjas for essentially no cost. I mean, giving your opponent 1 chakra to heal any of your ninjas is usually fine, especially combined with Tayuya, who's going to mill their chakra anyway. We can throw it in here with 3s. So what do we have left? We have turn 0's done, presumably turn 1's done. I like to run usually about 4 turn 1's, because deploying a turn 0 on... oh, how did that happen? Deploying a turn 0 on turn 1 is not the end of the world. You know, going Hotaru into Kushina is perfectly acceptable. So having 4 turn 1's allows you to have a good chance of drawing turn 1's while also not, you know, bogging down your hand early. And then I kind of run the same on turn 2's if I can. But like I said, my turn 2 curve is not the best. You might want more turn 2's than I do, but I tend to go a little harder on 0 and 1. So having, you know, 3, maybe 4 turn 2's is pretty good. So just with that curve, I'm going to bump these down to 2 each, so we have 4 turn 1's, and just know that this is probably going to be fine. They're somewhat searchable. Obviously, Karin can't be put into Chakra with your Utakata because she has Ambush, but there are options. So then we have turn 3's with Suigetsu. 3 is where I kind of like to pump it up a little bit more. 3 is kind of where the game starts to turn on. So I think I want more than just 3 turn 3 Suigetsus, but I don't know what I want so far. And then for 4's, we have Sasuke so far. And we can look up the Kimimaro that we saw for no hand water. He has no hand cost, so that's pretty good. I'm going to throw it at 2 just to be safe. You could do more, we could do less. He's really in here for negation, and his negation is pretty expensive with 3 cards. Obviously, that's the same cost as our actual negation, but our Striking Shadow Snake negation also kills if Sasuke's on the field. So I don't know if we want more than 1 of him for the turn 4 variant at least. But we'll put in 2, and we can bump it down to 1 if we need to. And then the 2 Sasuke's, potentially, it's really just in here for Chidori Stream, which is very good, but not the point of the deck. And I don't know if it's worth, you know, building in 2 specifically. And then we've got our 1 Sasuke. We've got our jutsus. So before we do anything more with ninjas, because we're at 41 out of 50, I'm going to go into missions because, as I've said multiple times, missions for water is kind of strict. There are so many good water missions that's hard to get as many as you can in here. So we have 4 so far, so we get with Joy and Make Out Tactics. A very good water mission, as I've mentioned in most of my, ironically, lightning deck videos, because I only have 1 water profile, is Monster Research. Monster Research is a 2 entrance cost mission, 1 hand cost. And I definitely recommend it at 3 because it's one of the best draw cards in the game. You reveal 4 from your deck, and then your opponent splits them into 2 groups, and then you get to pick. So not only do you get to filter out cards that you might not want, but you get to see 4 cards, and you get to pick cards that you do want. Cards in your discard are not that big a deal because we have Earthdome Prison to move them from discard to Chakra, and if they're in Chakra, they can probably ambush out. So Monster Research is a crazy good mission. Suigetsu's Joy, pretty much mandatory. It's so good in No Hand Water, that's why it's limited to 1. And then we saw the threat of Tailed Beasts. Can't really type and talk at the same time. Threat of the Tailed Beasts can move from your discard to your Chakra also, so that helps with your Monster Research. So 6, 7, 8, theoretically 2 more missions, maybe 3, maybe 4 if there's something incredibly good. And, you know, there is. So another card that you will probably just have to research or know about is Friendship from Sorrow. Not a specifically No Hand Water deck card, but potentially the best water mission you could possibly get. It is a turn 2 mission, and it lets you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, move 1 to your hand, 1 to Chakra, 1 to discard. So this is very good because 1, the Chakra can essentially be a draw. If you have a Chidori or Striking Shadow Snake in there, you can move it to your Chakra, and you know that's essentially 2 to your hand for free. And then 1 to your discard, again, not the biggest deal because we've got Threat and we've got Earthdome Prison to do that. But it's secondary effect, whereas if it's in your Chakra, you can remove it from the game and then remove a non-ninja card from the game. This is probably the best possible effect you could have in this deck. Not only is this movable with your Utakata in case you really need to get rid of something, but it lets you get rid of your comparative strengths, your dehydrations, and even like clients that might be a pain in the ass, or permanent missions, like if they were World of Fire you need to get rid of. This card is basically mandatory in all water decks because it's so good at protecting yourself that you want 3 of them no matter what. So we're already at 11 here, as you can see. And then, like I just mentioned, we've got Dehydration, which is a water staple as well because it negates your opponent's effects and lets you draw. So what do we want to do here? I'm going to move at least 1 hydration or dehydration in here because you do want it for sure. We are at 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 missions, which is not good. We're already at our 50. So we're going to have to make some choices here. I think the first one is definitely dehydration down to 1. Negation of effects is incredibly good, but is it necessary to win you the game? Probably not. And is it contingent on your opponent having an effect worth negating? Yes. So it's kind of rocking a hard place here. You definitely want to have the option to negate something your opponent has that is breaking your ass. But if they don't, then this is basically a dead card, and you wish you had like Monster Research or something. So I think down to 1 is fine. Threat of the Tailed Beasts is something I'd consider getting rid of. What are we at? 9, 10, 11. We're at 12. But I'm not totally sold on getting rid of it yet. 12 isn't unacceptable. So I think that is fine for right now. Something else I'm looking at is I'm trying to find out what is redundant. I definitely think we need more ninjas, which means we need to cut something. And something we can cut, I think, is Sasuke, Eyes of the Hawk, because we are already in a weird place where if we have him down and we want our other Sasuke, we're going to have to get rid of him, like with our Danzo. And I don't think that is worth it just to get Chidori Stream, which also makes me think that maybe we don't need Chidori Stream. So I think getting rid of those 3 is fine, and just to get rid of clutter, I can save it here. You can have a preview of some of my other decks. So now we're down to 46, which is much more manageable. This is kind of specific to No Hand Water, but I think we could be fine with just these 9 jutsus. They are essentially all, well, except for Earthbound Prison. Chidori and Striking Shadow Snake are usable from the chakra, which means they're essentially always available. They're never not going to be out of chakra unless they're discarded for cost. So they're essentially free mastery for every user, which means, in a normal deck you have 10 jutsus, you use one, now you only have 9 unless you can get that one back. You're never losing these. So I think we can stick with just 9 for now, and kind of see how it goes. So even though we're pretty good for right now, I am going to take a page from Drainerson's book. He runs 2 Symbol of the Proud Clan. No, what am I talking about? Symbol of the Rogue Ninja. Because Sasuke is so important to get. So I'm going to throw 2 of those in there just to make a point really quick, and I'm going to reduce Makeout Tactics by 1 and Friendship by 1 to fit those in there. Because Sasuke is so important to the deck that being limited to 1 means that you really need to get it. If he's sent to discard or sent to battle rewards, it's kind of hard to get him back, even though you do have ways to do that. Obviously not from battle rewards, but from the discard. So Makeout Tactics is one of the main ways you would have gotten him anyway, so swapping 1 out for Symbol is not the worst. But Symbol also works because another main target for that is Suigetsu, who does have Rogue Ninja himself anyway. And then you could also search for Karin, who's very important, and Utakata, who's very important also. So swapping out 2 Makeout Tactics for 2 Symbols is not the worst. Or sorry, 1 Makeout Tactics for 1 symbol and a Friendship for a symbol. Because it kind of gives you more search without really limiting you for having your Makeout Tactics, even though Makeout Tactics is extremely good in No Hand Water. You might want your symbol to pull Sasuke early, just so that you don't risk it. So I think that's a fine change we can do. We have 4 more slots, but I am going to drop the Kimimaro down by 1, just because I think we're probably fine without the negation. And we never went back to Yuya, who I think could also be down by 1. So now we have 6 slots, and I'm going to go back to Kimimaro because the turn 5 is very good. Oh, but there's this one I forgot about. When a player deploys a ninja, they pay 2 if they don't injure that ninja. So here's something that I maybe struggle with, but it is something that you have to, put some thought into. This Kimimaro is very good with Sasuke because your opponent essentially has to pay 2 chakra or else their ninja dies instantly. But while that is incredibly good, it does require you having Kimimaro turn 4 and Sasuke turn 5, one of which is limited to 1. So what are the odds that you're going to be able to get this? And is it better to have this game-breaking board sometimes and other times have dead cards in your hands? Like if you, this isn't a dead card, but what if you need the ambush or you need the negate? So I don't know. That's good, but I'm not sold. Because we got that other Kimimaro that we saw here that does have ambush. It's turn 5 and it has a hand cost, which is fine. But it reduces the cost of a water jutsu by 1 water. And in this deck that spams jutsus, like your Striking Shadow Snake takes 3 chakra. Chidori's 2, which would be brought down by 1. Your Earthstone Prison would be free. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do it yet, but it's something to think about. But then there's also an option I've seen. It is Zabuza Hanbu Days, or maybe it's Younger Days. Yeah, Younger Days. I'm going to throw that in here. I'm going to put it at 2 for now, just because it synergizes really well with Sasuke, kind of in the same way I just talked about Kimimaro being. Except one, he does have ambush, which is better, and two, he's not Kimimaro, of which we already have one, so he's not really taking up a slot. But this Zabuza Younger Days, when the team is when it wins any victory, you can injure an opposing back ninja, which when Sasuke's on the field means that they die. And then when you win a battle reward, you can discard a non-ninja, which is kind of irrelevant. So I think two of those in here would be pretty good, just to kind of help with the Sasuke synergy. But again, it's win more, so I'm not sure it's totally necessary. Something else that's very good with Zabuza is to look at the Zabuza Haku squad. So we don't really have space, and we could look at Hakus, but just from my personal experience, there aren't a lot of them that are super good here. They're mostly turn 3 or turn 2. So I don't think any of them really fit in. The only slot I can really think is that there's a tracking ninja that has the name Haku, which is just another turn 4, 0 entrance cost. But we're kind of strapped on our turn 0s. They're all very good and either necessary or just like the best card in the game. Kushina's the only one I could think getting rid of for 2 tracking ninjas, but Kushina's just too good at getting chakra. So I'm not sure that that's necessary. One option is we could remove the Kushinas, and I'll leave her here at 0 for now. Put in 2 tracking ninjas so that we can do the Zabuza and Haku squad. And then there is a Naruto that is very good in No Hand Water. And it's going to be up in the tops here. It's not the promo. Yeah. It's the Emerging Beast, where it goes into the Ninetales reinforcements, which are a secondary win condition that you could do, but they gather a lot of chakra. Every turn, each player has to move chakra from their deck, which is just very good in general. But it also, because you have a lot of ambush, allows you to do that. It allows you to move cards from your deck to your chakra for no-hand purposes. But once again, we don't really need that. We have Utakata to do that also. So, I mean, maybe we don't even need, we're at 48, maybe we don't even need the chakra boost at all. I mean, do we even need the Kushinas? We could just go for 2 tracking ninja. It's looking very standard. The Kushina was kind of a little spice that I had, but I don't know that the Kushina is totally necessary. And then we've got the tracking ninjas. That's just another good 4-0. We kind of have like 9 of those. It goes to Zabuza. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll keep tracking ninja for now. We're at 46. And Zabuza. How many Joni do we have? Just Zabuza? Yeah. Because, I mean, with Zabuza being in here, we have a Jonin, which means we're kind of opening the doors to Jonin Jutsus. And there is Water Dragon that I mentioned. That with Sasuke basically kills every ninja your opponent has. But that's kind of what Zabuza is aiming to do anyway. Yeah, actually, I'm already not sold on that. So we've got our Kidamarus, we've got a Karin, Yoroi at 1, Tayuya. And turn 3s, Suigetsu. I do want more turn 3s. So maybe we'll look for turn 3s. And Sasuke's our only turn 5. We're kind of lacking on late game ninjas too. So let's look up turn 3 ninjas. We'll start with water. And water turn 5s, 6, and 7s. And we can see what goes on from there.
Okay, so let's search turn 3 ninjas.
starting with water, and see what we've got here. So generally I kind of discount all of these older model cards. Some of them are pretty good, but because of the, become retroactively good, combined with later sets. So I'm just going to skip those for now. Plus we already have, Jirobos and Kidomaros. So Anko here, this does you can draw with water and then move 2 from your hand to the top of your deck. Not the best. Draw for lightning. I think we can do better than that. Haku. Yeah, this is the injure and heal one. Not really. The Haku over here can copy a ninja, make a copy of it. Not extremely useful. Orochimaru Childhood is okay. It pretty much makes everything that happens with a mission discarded instead of to chakra. But that's not really helpful, especially when it has a hand cost. Suigetsu we already have. Greninja is not real. Utakata is pretty good, but obviously we already have turn 0s, so I can't do that. Another Haku. And obviously we have our tracking ninja, so we wouldn't be able to use it at the same time as Haku, even though we don't have one actually named Haku. So that is an option. Jugo, this is the one that puts in place state 2, which is not very good on its own. Have Kidomarus, have Suigetsus, have Utakatas. Second state 1, probably not. Search for a sound 4 ninja. I mean, it's fine. It's possible. I'll think about Sakon state 1. But we do know that there was that other Sakon that protects your chakra area. Foka. Discard a chakra. No, not very helpful. Gozu is like the prisoners and Gurens. Yeah. Search a deck for a prisoner or Guren. Move it to your chakra. Huh. It's kind of interesting. Maybe I'll look at prisoner stuff. Huh. Interesting. Anyway, this Haku is pretty good, I know. It kind of makes you immune to jutsus in a way because you can just redirect them to another legal target. Which is unfortunate if it's like an ninja opposing the user, because that's just another one of your ninjas. But if they're going to negate a jutsu, you can do that. Or if they're going to negate by killing one of yours, you can do that. So this Haku is pretty good, and I'll think about that, because we don't have a lot of jutsus, physically. We do have a lot of uses for them since they're no hand, but obviously having another option is always good. Jirobos, we got more Jugos. Jugo in general is just kind of bad most of the time. If 2 ninjas put in play, you can put this card in play. I mean, that's good against Rush, but you don't want to base your deck based on your opponent's strategies. This is the Sakon I was talking about, protects your chakra area. We already went over it a little bit. So that's probably the number 1 I would be looking for, just so that they can't discard it. But then again, Sakons or something that discards your chakra is kind of rare. And that's pretty much it. So we've got a couple options. Let's just go look for turn 5 water ninjas. See if we can round things out. Got a Guren. Can't be sent out to attack, can't be organized. That's okay. Kabutos are pretty good. This one lets you look at your deck. This is a card that a lot of people tend to like. Hisame. It doesn't fit no hand really at all, but it is just very good in general. If this is down, your opponent pretty much doesn't get any chakra. Whatever card is moved to your opponent's chakra area, if it's not the first one, it's discarded. So they can't really build chakra at all. At most, they're going to get 1 per turn, which is kind of nothing. Sasuke as the serpent, we already have a bunch of fake fan set cards. Ao is okay. Water, you can look at the top card, and if it's a mission, you get it. Not the best. Kimimaro again, no hand, -1 for water jutsus, which is good, but is it that good? Bunch of Sasuke's, bunch of Yamatos, Zabuzas. We already have Zabuzas. Sasuke. Oh, this one will not load. Okay. Yeah, I don't think just looking through is very helpful. I mean, this Kisame is good, but it has to be with Void or by itself. There's one card, though, that I know is probably in contention. It's a turn 6 water, and I know it is the second Hokage. I think it's a super, yeah. So second Hokage, for free, you can move a card from your discard to your chakra or a mission from your discard to your hand. So not only is that good to get your no-hand jutsus back from your discard pile if you had to use them for cost, but you can bring some of our many banned cards back to our hand, like Suigatsu's Joy, Thread of Tail Beasts, or not banned, but, limited, and our one dehydration is very good. Or even if we just need more draw power, like Monster Research or something. So I think we're definitely going to put second Hokage in here. Maybe 1, maybe 2. And then I think we'll just consider the Narutos since we took out our Kushinas. So we're missing 4 cards. So, 2 Narutos and maybe 1 second Hokage, and see what goes on from there. Okay, so let's go find our second Hokage. It's probably, no. It's usually one of the first ones. I think they kind of group them by how popular they are. Yeah, second Hokage. Let's throw him in here. He's turn 6. I'll do 2 of them just to be safe. 1 Sasuke, turn 5. We have a couple turn 4s. Okay. And then let's find that Naruto again. If we even had it. I'm already forgetting if we looked at it already. Yeah, here it is. Emerging talent. And let's put that in there. 2 of those. So we've got our 50 cards. And we've got a little bit of our reinforcements. We'll take out these Danzos because we're not really going to use it in the end. Anyway, so let's get Naruto and Sasuke, because that card is just very good, especially because no hand can make it use Chidori's for free. We'll just call it 3 of them. Why not? Oh, the Jirobo is errated in the images. That's pretty cool. So turn 5. Jirobos, and then we've got our second Hokage, Kimimaro, state 2. We do not have. And he's turn 6. Three, 6, 9, 12, 15. And is that pretty much it for reinforcements? Zabuza and Haku. So we'll get rid of a Naruto Sasuke. We only have 1 Sasuke. And we will get rid of a Kimimaro. Oh, duh. So this is kind of, this part doesn't really matter for anyone. This is kind of preference of how you want to do this. Obviously, we have only so many options we have to go into these reinforcements. So like Sasuke, we only have 1 copy. So going into Naruto and Sasuke, we can literally only do it once. But there are some cards that discard from your reinforcement deck, so you don't want this to get sniped. But honestly, this isn't a super important card, so I'm just going to go 1 with that. Jirobo's really good. Kimimaro's fine, but I don't need more than 1. Zabuza and Haku is good, but I probably don't need more than 1. And the reason I'm limiting these, and these are just amazing, so I'm going to keep those, is because we need 15, and we have 3, 6, 9, 10. We have 12, and we do want to use the Naruto Tailed Beast reinforcement lines. So I'm going to put this. This is hard. But anyway, Naruto, and they're all at the bottom because they have parentheses. remember exactly what they're called, whether it's Tail Beast form or Ninetales Cloak. Nope, that's the other one. Tail Beast form. Yep, here's one of them. So I'm really just going to put in like one of these each, and I won't bog it down with you figuring out how many you want of these. And then the other one is the cloak. No, it's that one. Yeah, it's cloak. So this and this, and then four tails. Six tails. And the nine-tailed fox spirit, which just wins the game if you're playing against stall. So that's 15. I only have one each of these. I mean, you don't really need more than one. That's not the main point of the deck. It's just kind of a side bonus in case you're playing against stall. So that looks like 50. And let us just go into visual view here and see what we actually got. So at this point, I would consider the deck finished and ready for testing. I would probably print this out as proxies so that I can play test myself. But just looking through it, I want to make sure that I kind of hit all the benchmarks for a deck that I use. So I want to make sure there's at least 11 turn zeros, which I'm pretty sure I have. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, because I have 3 3s and a 2, which is usually how I go. And these are very good turn zeros. Our turn 0 lineup is kind of ridiculous, actually. Jirobo is 4-0. Hotaru is probably the best turn 0 in the game, can be 4-0. Tracking Ninjas 4-0. So crazy lineup in turn zeros. Kitamaru, broken. Karin, one of the best healers in the game, and we have at least 4 turn 1s, so we're good there. A little light on the turn 2s, like I say, I always am, but Yoroi is limited to 1 because he's incredibly good, and Yuya is just very good as well, so that's fine. 5 turn 3s, we're kind of picking it up more in the mid game here, with Suigatsu being incredible, draw power insane, and Naruto building your chakra for you and having an option for late game. Then we've got turn 4s, 3 of them kind of going back down a little bit, with Zabuza and Kimimaro, both of which are very good. Zabuza synergizing with Eyes of the Serpent very well, and squatting into Zabuza Haku, and Kimimaro being another negate, which I actually kind of forgot about when I was looking for turn 3s and turn 5s. So that's pretty decent. And then we've got our Sasuke, key component of the deck, turn 5 at limited to 1, also fine. And second Hokage running it out, kind of making sure that our late game is stacked because we can throw in a bunch of our missions. And then we got our jutsus. I usually go for at least 10, but because I said no hand water allows you to use these over and over and over, I have 9. So we've got the 3 Earth Dome, which are pretty standard for water because it's so good with Jirobo. 3 Chidori, which is just a staple for this deck, best card it has. And then 3 Striking Shadow Snake, just another good jutsu that allows you to use it with no hand and synergize with Sasuke. So 9 jutsus, and then we have more missions because missions are very critical in water especially, but also we allowed ourselves to be lower in jutsus so we can pump up our missions a little bit. We got the 2 Makeout Tactics, 2 Symbol of the Rogue Ninja for our searches. Monster Research because it's one of the best draws in the game. Friendship from Sorrow is very good draw power, especially in no hand, and also protects our ninjas from negation missions. Dehydration is a negation mission itself, very good, lets us draw more. Thread of the Tailed Beast is just stupid powerful, allowing us to get our chakra back and our no-hand jutsus back into the chakra area. And Suigatsu's Joy, which is the best draw mission possible for no hand because it kills your opponent's hand and it lets you get more cards in your hand and into your chakra area, which is just your second hand anyway. So 50 cards. We've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 missions, 9 jutsus, which means we have, 29 ninjas, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 ninjas. Usually go about 30, but 29, 30 is fine. I would go all the way down to like 27 even if my jutsus and missions are crazy. And then we have our 15 reinforcements, kind of preference in this based on what's important to you. Kidomaru, specifically for no hand, is just incredibly good, but making a no hand deck is not really the point of this video. It's to show you what my thought process is for making a deck. So once I played tested this and I found some flaws, I would kind of go back and edit it accordingly, but that might be something I do in another video. I don't know. But this is generally how I would structure the creation of a deck. Go through, find out the main staples that you're looking for, the main strategy, build that out, see if there are any synergies you can come up with, and then go into the main strategies for that element and type of deck. Build that out, make sure you have your starting hand solid with your number of zeros. Make sure your draw power is good with your missions, especially turn 1 and turn 2s, and a little bit of turn 3s. Make sure your mid game is solid with your turn 3s and your late game is solid with your 5s and 6s. And make sure everything in between is kind of riding the same curve, with turn 1 being a little less important than turn 0, but still very important. Turn 2 being a little less than that. Turn 3 being a little more than that. And then 4 being a little less again. 5 and 6 ramping up again. So if you like this, leave a comment down below. It's a little new to this kind of thing, and I just kind of wanted to get that out there because I had a lot of requests for it. But if you do like it, leave a like, leave a subscribe. Let me know that this was enjoyable content, and I can maybe go into another type of deck just to see a little variance. Like I said, pain earlier in the video. And subscribe and hit the bell so that you can keep up with all the other videos that I'm making. I mostly do deck profile content, and I've got a lot more coming on the way. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in whatever the next video is. Bye.